Authorities in the United Kingdom allegedly protected Prince Andrew from American investigators' probe into Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking crimes. This is according to a new book written by the prosecutor who led the case.
Jeffrey Berman, who was fired as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York by William Barr in 2020, claims his team was iced out when they tried to seek comment from the prince in late 2019, noting that Buckingham Palace and diplomatic officials refused to cooperate. Berman writes, quote, "We got absolutely nowhere. Were they protecting him? I presume someone was." Perhaps unsurprising, but that's part of what is so frustrating about these institutional factors, like the crown, like the monarchy, is that they have been there for so long and we understand their power. We saw the influence they had on the press during the whole fiasco with Diana, and then as it kind of repeated itself with Meghan Markle, how much control they have over the British press in a way that I think the American press isn't quite as lockstep and protective of celebrities or any one entity like that. That it almost makes us unwilling to challenge it. We just kind of shrug our shoulders and say, well, of course they're going to protect the alleged pedophile prince. And it's troubling. Yeah, it's gross. It's just disgusting. Well, and like I said, when we talked about the heckler, a heckler of Prince Andrew deserves it. I mean, that's a thing that he is accused of. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about an institution's wrongdoing. We're talking about a person's wrongdoing. And we have a lot of questions. There's compelling reason to be suspicious. Obviously, the Crown thought it was enough of a liability to just shunt him off to the side forever. So it's, shunt him off to the side, but also have him walk behind the Queen's casket. Look, there was the king who never was. Who abdicated the crown. And, Edward the Seventh. He was really excommunicated. He was banished from the country, for the crime of marrying an American. Right. And so, it does seem it's an interesting comparison to make that's the kind of violation that will get you basically excommunicated. But being accused of something much more serious than simply not wanting to be king still allows you to take place in a funeral procession in front of the entire country that, by the way, cost millions of dollars paid for by the British taxpayer. It's an interesting choice. Yeah, it is. Look, we should, we don't have a monarchy in the U.S. for a reason, I think a good reason. Yeah, right? The Revolutionary War. It's an odd institution that received a boost of popularity and has survived in part because Queen Elizabeth herself was very popular and has, ruled for 70 years. Not popular with all of the hosts on this panel, but popular in general. I watched The Crown, and as a human being, and as a humanist, I understand the woman. I understand she was a person who was put in a situation that she didn't expect to ever be in and had to deal with stuff. But she also had to take responsibility for being a figurehead who chose, for example, to speak in South Africa at the start of apartheid in a way that was not critical and was very supportive of this segregation state that was emerging under the crown. These are choices that individuals have to bear as well. And no one is perfect, and we all have these kinds of mixed records. And I think it's perfectly fair for people to reflect on her admiringly and to have taken something positive from her reign. But moments like this, and these stories coming out about the extent to which the crown, again led by Queen Elizabeth, chose to protect someone like Prince Andrew, who has been alleged of some significant wrongdoing, it can't not ask you to reflect on the Queen's priorities. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. The extent to which powerful people have just been able to get away with, in the Epstein saga, just things that are literally unbelievable. Mm-hmm. This whole thing would be unbelievable. But it happened. But it's true. But he had access to all these famous and powerful people, and they continued to interact with him well beyond the point where there's any plausible deniability of not knowing that this person is gross. Contrary, I think, to what Alan Dershowitz said on this show when we interviewed him. He said nobody knew anything. Well, but this was a guy who could get in the early 2000s. He went to jail
for child sex crimes.
Exactly.
Came out, went right back to it, and was able to get. Dershowitz told us he was able to get Bill Clinton on the phone instantly. It's just a level of access to powerful people that most people could never even conceive of having, let alone. But why is this deplorable child sex criminal able to get it?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Well, I look forward to hearing more from that book, and I think that there's going to be more kind of discussion about what the Crown means, particularly by people who do live in the UK, as people get past their understandable grief and start to reckon with the system that they live in. But we will have more Rising for you right after this.